Deep Pop Ink Addict coming from me again from State 48. What is it that we as humans all seem to have, again, as in common? Fear. Pretty much on a daily basis, I believe. It's just in different levels. Frank Herbert said that fear is the mind killer. Fear is a little death that brings total destruction. Yeah, I think I can agree with that. I think most of us can. Our first responders and them aren't rushing into buildings and whatnot because they're afraid. It's because they've learned to harness that fear. When I was a first responder, we had to go and hit on a lot of different areas and cover a lot of different pieces. And because of these, I really had to figure out the main piece again. Fight or flight. That triggering point that we hit when we decide to react. And because of that reaction, we basically hit the same piece. That life essentially is 10% of what actually happens to us and 90% of how we react to it. It definitely taught me a lot. Taught me a lot about myself, what I could handle. But what happened even more so, roughly 7 years ago, is when I was told I was HIV positive. I was just on my way on the climb back up, I thought. Getting myself to more of that actual human being. Feeling like one. Fixing a lot of health issues that I finally decided to man up and take care of. Well, during that time, ran tests. Everything I was going through, test everything. Let's get it going. And when I was told that, it was like, might as well have taken a 2x4 to the back of my head. I had no response. I had no feeling. Feeling in my legs. Went a couple days later to the specialist. And of course, right away, boom, those papers right in front of me. Damn. I couldn't process it. Couldn't process anything. Still couldn't believe it, obviously. So as I was going through a lot of that there, all that was running through my head was, what's the point? And as my previous video, it started to become almost my way out. How so? Well, this time, hopefully, I can leave this mortal planet, but leave my family with the insurance money and all that stuff as well. Little sneaky bastards started coming up on me. Then the other really important ones. How am I gonna find somebody to love me? Like I've always wanted. On top of that, there goes chances that I have family. Even worse, perception. Say what you will about anything. Well, it's been around for XYZ long. But let's face the facts here. Alright, let's shoot straight. Shoot the shit straight. You know that when you get told from somebody else that they have XYZ, that's also been part of the media that just brings up and amplifies shit on a level that's just disgusting. It doesn't matter. We're starting to become pre-programmed to a lot of this. That's also where our fear comes into play as well. As I'm thinking to myself, how's this and this gonna happen? You may be presented with yourself too that here's something I really would love to achieve, a goal. Well, what the hell is stopping you? That little voice in your head, fear. And it's the mind killer. So I kept going. I was working on my 3rd degree, completing my bachelor's. At that point, why bother? Why bother with anything? It was a complete and total shutdown. Roughly a month later, after making said decisions, I had "Moving Without Knowing" tattooed across my chest. Now, a little offshoot about this too, when it comes to ink. Do your homework, your research. Check the shops, because those are not only put in place for them, it's for you as well, for protection. So, be smart, don't be a dumbass. Please. And also, think it through. Like I've said, and this is the truth, any piece that you ask about, or anybody that asks about on my body, it has a story. Because this is also what happened that following day after I got "Moving Without Knowing." My preferred definition of faith. Because I'd finally come to grips with the fact that, what are you gonna do, Pop? What are you gonna do? Well, I've come this far. Let the cards play out. Let's check it out. Day after, I got a call from the doctor. I missed it. Obviously, working. Got a voicemail. And I shit you not, the few people that I told, because I had to, much like in the first video over suicide and depression, couldn't do this, let alone you can only hide crap for so long. That day, I had the same people that come over, and I'm not kidding you. I hooked up my phone right into my surround sound and the stereo there and played it out. Said all my tests came back negative. I don't get to say much. I had to go back in to get the second negative. Double negative. So obviously a state, all that's involved. Got a call later that week. Phlebotomist misplaced, did something, I don't remember what it was, because my brain has shoved a lot of that out, which is what it needed to do. Needless to say, I was not Christian-like on the phone. And I found it very best not to head down there that day. About 2 days later, when I was trying to just calm down over everything, get the grips, all this kind of stuff, stop being an asshole, I actually got a call, and they said that it was clear. That was clear. It was like that 2x4 going in reverse. I still think back to that. With fear, the biggest thing even I've learned in the last year, fear is going to stop you. It's going to prevent you. Because the other thing is when you have something a goal you want to reach, you get the naysayers. The naysayers are what is also going to create that fear that lives deep inside of you. Whether it's apparent or not, that's what's going to happen. And as mentioned before too, the news, the media, all this stuff, how are we not supposed to be afraid? When supposedly this world, this society, everything like that's going to hell. How are we not? To find that strength, to find that boost, everything. It's just not gonna, you gotta grip. You gotta grip it and rip it. You gotta also learn too to segregate on things, because that's what I did. I know this is sounding preachy, but again, as I said before, I'm not pulling any punches. My life's an open book. My beliefs and everything like that there too, may agree with, may not. That's your right. I'm just hoping that, again, that if it reaches somebody, that's great. That's all I'm praying for. That's all I'm asking for. That's all I'm trying to do. But man, again, you're younger, this and that too. Because when I decided I wanted to work into getting life goal of mine, being a published tattoo model. Boy, did I catch a lot of grief and hell on that one. Like, you serious? Small town stuff again. I pushed myself. You know, you can walk right on the edge of that box all you want. But it doesn't mean anything unless you're going to go ahead and go outside of it. Again, you're never going to cross the ocean if you're too afraid to let go of the shore. You're never going to. Personally, that's what I had to do. It was paying attention to said areas that finally clicked. If they hadn't, I would not have done in the last year these things that I was told it was never going to happen. As a dreamer, being a dreamer is good. If you're not dreaming about something, and if your goals don't scare the shit out of you, they're not really goals. They're just side pieces that you maybe would like to accomplish. You want to accomplish something, it's going to scare the shit out of you. That's when you can tell it's something you're serious about, you're passionate about. Get serious. Get passionate. When played right, fear doesn't shut you down, it wakes you up. Veronica Roth. Find those pieces. Find what you need. You feel like you're scared. You don't know what's going to happen. Health, family. You just don't know. That's the whole point of it. That's why we as humans have that fight or flight. When I had to go out on rescues, and it turns out I was 10 feet away from a kid that drowned. Come to find out, 4 o'clock in the morning we were searching, and I would not give up. I pushed myself so hard that I was starting to go almost a little bit into shock because I wouldn't stop. Dehydration, all that kind of stuff. Now I found out that, he unfortunately had been missing for a long time. Nothing I could do. But that still wasn't going to stop me. Because I wanted to give him peace. The family, all of them. See, we hit these walls. Again, that's where our fight or flight kicks in. So what are we going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Last year of my life, 2 years even before this, before I made these changes, I was so scared it reignited depression. That depends on what your fear is going to do to you. So, use acronyms. Fear. Face everything and rise. Another one that goes with that, when I was stating that if your goals don't scare the shit out of you, they're not really goals. There's a quote by Dan Brown, that men go to far lengths to avoid what they fear than to obtain what they desire. Sorry, but you're going to have a hard time convincing me that that's not the truth. We work so hard to avoid what we really would love to obtain in life that we put in 3 to 4 times the effort, that if we realize that just a little shift, a little sliver of that off, and focusing on that instead, would have just saved a whole lot. Relationships, friendship, your job, everything like that. You're going to end up fearing in a roundabout way what's this going to turn out to be like? What's going to happen? But that's natural. You got to take it too as it comes. Again, 90% of how you react to it. I have people and friends and family I know of too that are fighting medically with basically, you know, more of the uncurable. One that basically that can prolong, just like with the HIV test that I was presented with. You know, there's no cure, but you know, there's life expectancy that can be done with XYZ. Yeah, well, who wants to fight through that? But you know what? If you catch things early and you fight through it and not give up, and that is easier said than done. I'm not bullshitting on that. That's just a given. But I believe when we start to train our brain more on reactions, the more you're gonna gain down the road when you don't even realize it. You look back. This is what I've done. I've been looking back going, holy crap. Through all of that, look where I am now. Look what I'm doing now. One thing that may be minor to you is major to somebody else, vice versa. But that's alright. That's cool. Just, you know, roll with it. If it's important to you, then it is truly important. No matter what anybody else tells you. Again, it is important. I promise you that. Stick to it. Grind away. You know, the other thing is, even if said dream, said goal, you don't necessarily get to, I can tell you this, you're going to be able to look back at the journey. That journey in itself is going to go, holy crap, I did all of that. Start to end up realizing that actually that goal was worth the trip. You know, again, big lyric guy. The road is long, but it's the one to take. You gotta put in the work. It's time to make or break. You don't put in the work. You know, this crap being handed to you, just, that's great and all. You gotta take the blessings, but at the same time, we just have to work to recognize said things. If you're in a bad relationship, you're in a bad situation. Like, I wanted always everybody to like me. And the thing is if I didn't, I felt like I screwed up. I mentally just bashed myself in the head mentally over and over and over. And when I was younger, I would put my hand through windows just so I could see myself bleed to make sure I was still alive. That's how bad it can end up sinking. I'll admit it. Always going to. That's how self-destructive we as humans can be. I found a quote by Eleanor Roosevelt. You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in its face. You're able to say to yourself, I lived through that horror. I can take on the next thing that comes. I think she's about spot on there. So, this is the call of the dreamers. Alright? I'm calling on all dreamers. Let's dig a little deeper and let's make them believers. Make them believers. Again, the call of the dreamers. I'm calling on you right now. Because you know what? If someone doesn't want to see you exceed, I do. Because it's beautiful. You just have to open up that eye, that mind's eye. When I finally slowed down enough to take in what had happened, I finally stopped overreacting. And you know what? The journey was hell. I'm still scared of what I'm doing right now. I'm afraid I'm gonna screw up. I felt that way even before. I'm gonna miss house payments, I'm gonna miss this and that. How can I do this? But finally, just, stopping. Just stop. Me personally, I crank tunes. Find that tunes, and you know what? More likely, it's the tunes you just don't quite recognize the coalition with it. Whatever you're looking at. Because as I stated before, music speaks when you can't. And I'll tell you this, I'll be jumping around, I'll be moshing through my house here, I'll crank it up, and I will just rock. And I look stupid. I think I look cool to a degree, but, what do you do, right? But do it. Do whatever you have to snap yourself out. Everybody's got their own thing. Find something that you're passionate about, that you'd maybe like to get better on. You can take yourself out of that zone. By the time you come and reapproach that dream, you're going to be switched. I fully believe that in 180 degrees. You're going to be switched. But with that, as I've reiterated before, you see somebody in that pain, help them. This world has just done so much to tear so many other people down, and to continually do so. We report on all this and that, and arguing over politics and all this other stuff, when we forget the sheer little simple things such as love, kindness. I love nothing more than to see eyes that sparkle and a smile that just doesn't quit. Smiling's addictive. You never know. So again, I call on the dreamers. I want to hear you make people believers. Please. Let's put up the fight. But then get away. And don't take in everything you read. I know you're going to, but don't take in everything you read. Because I'm going to tell you a little something extra here too. For a paper I had to write, I put up some bullshit thing on Facebook with behind a picture on it. And the amount of ignorance is just incredible. So don't believe in everything you read, or because someone posted it. Try and live up here, and not here, on your computer, on the TV. I'm not saying everything, but I think it's just it's gotten to such a ridiculous point. Now, that's the reason why I don't hardly watch it anymore, but of course I was out doing it. I saw enough sad and ugly things that I didn't need to see it again. That's why, honestly, I'm ignorant on a lot of it. I don't really care, though. So anyways, call them the dreamers. I want to hear you make them believers.